welcome to Drop-In Knowledge. Today's episode is a Father's Day special. So today we have Mr. Willie Couch. How are you, Mr. Willie?
Doing great. Doing
Awesome.
great. Glad to be here.
You look great. Life is good?
Yeah, pretty good. Down to like 3 dates a week, though. It used to be 7, now it's 3.
Well, there's 7 days a week, so you slide.
Well, I like the way you're wearing a Western shirt because, you live on a horse farm.
On a break a date, I tell them I got to go take care of all my thoroughbreds, We don't have time for the rest of this stuff.
Not to be misunderstood.
Right.
Thoroughbreds, horses, not right.
Yeah.
Well, Father's Day's coming, so we thought this would be kind of fun we've been talking about getting you back on. You were I think you were our first attempted guest before we had equipment. We tried to do it with Anna's old camera, if you remember.
Right.
Didn't really work.
Man, we've come a long way.
But now we've gotten some things together.
Real
And,
equipment, 10 episodes under our belt.
Is it 10?
10 about published, yeah. We got
Yeah.
9 published and 1
Coming out next
pipeline.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
rolling good.
Yeah. Feeling good.
So I'm going to let Anna drive this.
All right, Mr. Willie. So why don't we kind of start on, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I grew up in New Orleans in Gentilly.
Gentilly. I travel to Gentilly a lot right now because...
That was Mayberry in the time, like
Wait, that's what it was
Andy
called?
Griffith and, Aunt B and all.
Uh-huh.
Take your bike, go out, come back when the lights go out. Everything was cool. Played on canals and climbed railroad tracks and, did all the kid stuff.
Gentilly was probably a really cool place back in the day.
Yeah, still is.
I mean...
It's just different, but it still is. I mean, like everything's different now.
Right.
But, we had Roy Zappardo on, who grew up in the Gentilly area too. And
Yeah.
he started by saying very similar to you. He said his family all lived close together. He's like, he didn't say Mayberry, but his description was pretty close. He's like, we had everything we needed right there. All our family was there. And
The thing is, and it's like going on 77 in September, and I look around on a lot of things. I just step to the rear deer and I don't see anything. But the times have changed a lot. When you say, where did you grow up? Well, I, like all of my family members, we were all from Gentilly, right? And everybody was blue collar in my world. The neighborhood mostly was, plumbers, electricians, company owners, that type of thing.
Right.
Not only did you grow up there and see each other as you growing, like, boy, she's sharp, a little kid on your bike starting to make comments on the little girls, right? And little girls making comments on you. The funny thing is, everyone grew up, and the entire neighborhood, once out of high school, if you didn't go to college, you got drafted, right? Or you joined, however. And when you come home and you started to settle down a bit, all the marriages that took place in my world back then, all the girls were from the neighborhood. They didn't have computer dating.
Right.
You didn't really, in my world, you didn't travel that, to meet a girl out of state. That was kind of uncommon back in those days.
Well, when you think about it, that's maybe 50 years ago?
Yeah. My daddy,
longer than that.
for example, he lived 2 blocks from my mama.
Sure.
They were childhood sweetheart. And then he went away, in World War II. And he came back and he broke that engagement with my mom because he said he wasn't the same guy. He wanted to see where he was going to wind up. Anyway, and I don't know, 2 years after the war, whatever, they got married. Everybody there got married in the neighborhood. I don't mean in a 2 block like my mom and daddy.
Right.
But look at me. My wife came from 3.5, 4 miles away. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was the whole thing was different. I mean, so you got married. Then you went to work.
And then you would start your family and grow in that same community, right?
Same.
So like when you got married
You-
with Miss Mary, you went back to Gentilly or you stayed in
Originally.
Gentilly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I stayed in Gentilly a couple of years. We rented things like that. Yeah, you stayed in the area, and knowing I was married and knowing that we were going to have children, right? I'm looking and I'm forecasting what I believe is coming, how it's going to all wind up. That's the way it was.
Right.
period.
So as a father, and just to kind of get back to the Father's Day special theme, what is the thing you're most proud of in your life?
Oh, 2 sons. That's it, you know. Of course, Grandpa is proud of his grandchildren. They all turn into adults, and they all are different. They're different people at the end road than they were when they were little, of
Right.
course. But I'm proud of all of that. I'm proud of all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's
That's
like
awesome.
anybody else, I guess. But
I
it's
would,
still Willie's new world. It's the new world, the dimension I skipped over. And in this world that we live today is completely 100% totally different. These kids today will never have a clue on the world that we had. You know, you could be working part-time, making a few nickels, and boy, you went out on a date, you were loaded. You know, 21 cents for a bottle of beer at Larry and
Yeah.
Katz. You know what I'm saying? F&M patio, the warehouse, the concerts was what? I don't know, $2, $3 a ticket back then. You know, it was like, wow. And
Yeah.
you wound up in the French Quarter with the group, you know. Maybe a couple of y'all strayed. You didn't have to get paranoid. Nobody was hurting nobody back then.
Right.
Unless you was looking for trouble, of course, you found it. It was a different, completely different world, you know.
And you know what's not funny, but what I find interesting is like hearing you say that, like we say that in so many things with our kids, like,
Mhm.
oh, things are so different. You know, when we were growing up, we didn't do X, Y, and Z, or we didn't have ABC. And like our kids are like, and then they will be saying that to their kids about something in their life now. So it's just how quickly things change
You know,
and evolve.
I'm not, I'll always bring this up, and I'm not really sure. I can't remember that far back. But my dad didn't want me, I guess, to have a school of hard knocks the way he had, right?
Right.
Always hustling a break, trying to do better for yourself and all. And things like that never change. You know what I'm saying?
it's funny. We just talked about that with another guest
What?
about, she was sharing about how we were talking about just raising kids and what most parents want for their kids, and with the fine line between, you know, spoiling them or
Right.
just maybe giving them a little bit easier path, a little bit better path
Yeah.
than what you came from. That's kind of almost innate in every parent, no matter how good of an upbringing you had.
Right.
And we know a lot of people have not had good upbringings, so that's a little bit easier to understand. But even people who did have a good upbringing, you know, there's always little differences. You're like, man, if I could just do that for my kids, I'd like to do that, right? We talked
Right.
about the fine line between how do you balance that between that and spoiling a kid, right?
But out of
yeah.
high school back then, if you finished, 'cause a lot of guys didn't finish
Right.
really. My daddy push, you know, he wanted his son to go to college, right? Wanted me to be a college boy. And I didn't really care for the books
Mm.
back then. I mean, if you wanted to work, I mean, you could work anywhere in New Orleans.
Right.
Back then, you'd be a pharmaceutical salesman. If you knew how to talk, dress up nice, and you had to connect. Nowadays, you need a college degree. Nowadays, you know, you're spending $100,000 for a college degree for your kids. If you got it, you're paying it. If you don't, they're making the loans. However, right? But he pushed that button, and it was LSUNO, which is now UNO.
And now LSU
And
again.
now it's
It is LSU
LSUNO
again?
Yeah.
And
Isn't that crazy?
I went out there to please him. I went there and I enrolled, and I carried 12 hours, and I took classes because I was walking around and I saw this beautiful teacher. Man, this girl was like dynamite. I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, what you selling here? What do you do?" She says, "I teach Portuguese." Oh, yeah. I said, "I want to sign up." And I signed up and I took Portuguese. Now, I hadn't had Spanish in high school. I never took foreign language, and Portuguese is hard.
Yeah.
And I took it. Well, of course, that was a F at the end, right? Then I said, well, I took Portuguese, and that looks good on my criteria here. I need to get a little play toy in here somewhere. I took drama for another 3 hours, you know. But I think, I want to tell you, it was like $100 a semester.
Oh, you can't even get a book for that.
Oh,
now.
Well, I mean, I remember
Was it?
when I went to to LSU. No, yeah, for LSU for law school, which would have been 1997, I think I started. The semester tuition, I think, was like, I want to say it was like $2,000 or something
At LSU?
a semester.
It was a little bit higher than Brother Martin's tuition.
Well, UNO, when I went to UNO, it was
Yeah.
cheaper than Brother Martin.
It was?
Yes.
Yeah, because I was going to say.
No, but I'm not talking about room and board. I'm just talking about just the
Right.
tuition
Just
piece
the
of it.
tuition.
Right.
Yeah, I think you could do 12 hours at UNO when I started there
Like
in
$1,000,
97.
$2,000.
It was probably like $1,300.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Like a year, it was probably around 2,800. So you're looking at about 1,400 a semester.
Right. So it was close at the time.
So out of high school, I did that as a daddy pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I didn't even have a car. I caught the Elysian Fields bus to college, right? And I had my little frat shoes on back then, and I had my white jeans and my little plaid shirt, Madras. And I'm standing at the bus stop, and next thing I know, this automobile pulls up and toots the horn. It says, "Hey, Winton," because that's my name. I got 4 or 5 names, but that was my name back then. "You want to ride?" I said, "Well, I'd never pass up a ride." Nice. Got in the car, pulled around the
Was
third
this,
Elysian
a
Fields.
lady or a gentleman?
No, a girl
A girl. Okay.
who was in my psychology class. That's another course I took, right? I like that. I kind of passed that talk. I did good. And we pulled up Elysian Fields, and it was, I think it was Luigi's, I think. Big pizza parlor. 50 cents a pitcher for beer, $1.50 for a big pizza. And after, I didn't know her, she didn't know me. And we just went, and we ate. I got on a payphone and told my mom I had to go to some labs and do some extra studying, just so, they think I'm doing the right thing. And I got home, I guess, at night at midnight, And after that, my mind wasn't on psychology. So that was another downer. And my dad, he'd say, "How you doing out there now, son? How you doing?" I said, "Oh, Dad, I'm doing great. I love it, man." I said, "No supervision. We come and go." I said, "I love college." So I had, you got to realize I got out of school in April, right? And I went to college in September, So the latter part of August, right? So I'm in college. Bing! Back then, got the draft. Welcome, my brother. Got your draft notice. So I went down and took the physical, being drafted. But I had my registration papers here that I'm in college. So you got a 2S instead of a 1A. You got a 2S. You were deferred from going into school. As long as you maintained a 2.0. Well, I had mine back. It was maybe a 1.9. I don't know. Whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool. But then I got out. Then they went on to chase again.
Mm-hmm.
Bing. Bing. They know you're out of college. So you went from 2S to 1A. Now you're eligible again. I knocked around and then I joined. I couldn't keep worrying about it. So I just joined. I did my 2 years. I got out.
Let's pause there.
I'm sorry.
So talk us through that experience. So you decide you're going to sign up.
Yep.
And how old are you at the time? 18? So you're 18 years old. It's what, 1968?
68.
Okay.
Because I got out of 67. So that's 68.
So 68-ish. You decide to sign up. And so what does that look like? Walk us through that day. Not that the day you signed up, but the day you have to go report. What was that like?
The day you go for your first physical?
No, the day you go to like,
hey, I'm here.
they're
pinged.
busing you, flying. I don't know how you got where you were going. You're going to boot camp.
Okay. To it, I went out the night before,
Had
Elysian
pictures.
Fields and Robert E. Lee. You had college joints. You had Brothers, the Barrel. Then you had the library. Oh, you old timers will ever watch this. You'll remember.
And the
that.
library, just for our listeners, is a bar.
Where you at? Oh, I'm at the library, Mama.
Remember,
So you're not lying.
Mr. Roy, the first
Yep.
date at the library.
You're not lying. Where you at? So I'm at the library. Well, my mama knew, that's what I was on.
So you go with your buddies.
So I went out the night before, and that's where we went. Like from 4 in the evening till maybe 2 in the morning. Come home, boy, crash, goggling with a Listerine. I'm putting my Old Spice on. And my dad would give me a ride. I think my mama, too. And they dropped me off at the custom house. Anyway, I went in. And
As a footnote, they drop you off at the customs house
Yeah.
in New Orleans on Canal.
yeah.
where later down the road you ended up working.
423 Canal Street was where I
Some of
got
that's
inducted.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Went through all of that. And then when I got married, I went to work with the government and wound up with the U.S. Customs, which isn't U.S. Customs anymore. It's something else.
But wait, you still skipped and you moved a little too quickly. I want to focus on, so you sign up, you hit the town that night with your buddies, grandma and grandpa drop you off at the customs house where you would eventually work. And
Took
then
the
you're
physical.
off, take your physical, and then
I
you're
took
off
the
to boot camp.
physical a day before.
Gotcha.
And they had me scheduled for, I think, 7. I had to be back there in the morning or whatever. And you go there, and I joined the Army. So I went to the Army side, and they give you a Trailway bus ticket to Fort Polk, Louisiana, Tigerland, welcome to Vietnam, all over the place. They give you a ticket for the Trailway bus. They give you a little ticket because where the Trailway bus was off a canal, I think Rampart, somewhere back there, on the corner, they had A and G, I believe. And we could take that, and they gave you a Miss Drake sandwich and a half a pint of milk. And, you ate that, of
For
course.
your bus ride.
For your
You
bus
get
ride.
indigestion, right? You know what I mean? And you get on the bus, and next stop, Leeville, pouring down rain, right? Standing on the corner, you don't know anybody. You got about 25, 30 of you. And they said that the cattle truck that's going to pick us up is going to be a little late. Gee, what are we going to do here? Well, back in them days, might as well have fun before they get you. Went in there and bought orange juice and vodka, and we started making, and got us on the cattle truck. Pouring down rain, man. We get on the base, it got you jumping off the truck, and the game started, all night long. Taking your shots and getting your duffel bag and your clothes. And I was in the Army.
Wow.
I did my 2 years, got out November the 7th. My daddy had all the
Which was my birthday.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, isn't that weird? My daddy had the table in the house all filled up. Or Tommy and Frankie Tusa that owned the Central Food Store. Well, he went down there. I didn't know he did that. And he went down there and he bought all of the muffaladas and all of the sliced stuff, and the wine, the whiskey, and the beer, and he set it up in the house. So all the family was there as a welcome home Willie, right? Hey, man, you want a date? I said, no,
Wait.
I don't want a date. Oh, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
A little bit. I want to know a little bit about after you got out of boot camp and all, where were you stationed?
Well,
You went up to Washington, right?
since you want to know that, then I have to tell you this. When I walked in that recruiter's office and said, hey, man, my physical's finished, I want to join, I became RA, regular Army. I wasn't considered a draftee. I joined,
Oh,
okay?
Okay.
So I was RA, and they just broke it. You didn't have to go for 3. You could go for 2. And I took the 2 years.
So as an RA, you can go in for 2 instead of as a draft.
That's
as a
right,
3,
if you join.
if you joined.
And when you do that,
Yeah. What was
they
that?
guarantee you got 2 guarantees on that.
Okay.
The Marines only give you a guarantee you're going to carry a rifle. You're going to be a rifleman. Army, they had a different MOSs, occupations in the Army. And he said, I did really well. How did I do that? I don't know. But I did real well on the tests,
It's probably in Portuguese, right?
Did probably Portuguese.
probably had a lot of Portuguese.
The guy says, well, I can guarantee you any 2 schools that you want. And you got to realize the military has everything civilian life has, from shopping centers, to
Right.
you name it, beer distribution, all that. And I said, oh, man, that's great. I said, I'll take my first school. I said, I'll take infantry. I said, in my school thereafter, that you're guaranteeing me something that locks it in. I want to go, I didn't say airborne and all that. I said, I want to go to infantry. You giving me that? He says, yeah. I said, well, I want to be a door gunner on a helicopter in Vietnam. See, my 2 buddies on my block got drafted, and they were over there too. And I wasn't there. I was like the black sheep. So I wanted to catch up. Well, anyway, I go in the Army, come out, you go in and you go through all your basic, this, that, and the other. Long story short, they went sour on the contract, and they didn't give me my infantry or my door gunner.
Oh, no.
And I wound up in Fort Lewis, Washington with the 392nd MP Company. Under that, they had three companies, 18th, 24th, and 14th. And I went, what the hell am I doing here, dude? And I report, well, everybody's wearing cross pistols on their brass on their collar because it's MPs. And they assigned me to the only man in the battalion is a captain. And he's got cross pistols. I said, you got cross pistols? You infantry? Yeah, I'm infantry. He said, I just wound up here. And I told him my story, how they breached my contract.
Huh.
And anyway, that's where I stayed until I got discharged. And my captain, Captain Yap, Y-A-P, from Hawaii, he had done 3 tours, combat tours in Vietnam. He was a real soldier. And he heard my story, and he said, man, he says, you'd be great out there, and all of this. He says, if you want to pull some strings, and maybe I can get you over there, get you out of here and get you over there, and you can join a unit, right? I went, fantastic. What? 1 month came, and another month, and another month. I'm trying to, it's getting close. And another month, and another month. Long story. He comes up to me and he said, this is like 6 months before I get out, right? He says, hey man, he says, I got your deal. He says, we can switch you over and get you over there where you wanted to be in the first place. I said, fantastic. He says, well, it's not a total win. It's a half a win. I said, what you mean? You got to sign these papers and re-up for another 3 years.
Of course.
And I went, man, this is something I'll regret all my life, which I did.
Really?
Every day of my life, I regretted it, what happened. Yeah. I mean, I did. I wanted to go, and I didn't make it. And I said, nah, I said, I got to pass. And that's what happened. And then I got out.
And didn't you have you had a couple of things you did when you were out there, but weren't you doing something where you were flying?
Yeah. So when I reported to the captain, right, he was over the arms room. He's over supplies, over people in the motor pool. He's the big guy over everything. And what did you ask me?
You were doing something while you were there where you were.
So when I met him, because I'm assigned to this unit, and he's like my supervisor. He's the cap. He just said he had it for me, and he told me 3 years, and I backed off. But while I was there, well, Cap, what am I going to do? He says, can you type? I said, yeah, 2 fingers. He said, well, that's enough. He said, just a little short letter once a month. I said, man, what am I going to do in between? He says, slow down. He says, get your cover. Let's get hat. Let's go. Got in his Jeep. And he says, takes me to the provost marshal's office, which is, it's a link to enforcement, so to speak, right? CI and all. And I wound up my whole entire tour. I did what they call prisoner escorts all over the country, meaning, guys up in Fort Lewis, Washington say, he's got to go to Fort Polk. Well, you got to fly him. You fly him back. That's what I did the whole time. I flew all over the country. And every 1 or 2 trips, I'd reroute myself after I dropped the guy off. I'd call my captain. He'd give me an extra 2 days, and you could reroute yourself. In other words, from where you were back to get to New Orleans. So that's what I did. That's what got me the job with customs.
And you were flying military prisoners.
Military. Yeah, stockade to stockade, all around the country. Drop them
because, like, if people commit a crime on a base, the MP, the military police, they arrest them.
Right.
And
most of my guys, though, weren't hardened criminals. They were all young cats. Just after they got trained, they drafted. They just didn't like the idea of going to Vietnam, and they went AWOL.
Okay.
And their names were out some kind of way in the computer. They get stopped. Boop, they call MP. MP pick them up. Well, that's where we come in.
So then you didn't have to go to Vietnam because this was during Vietnam.
Yeah, it was during a good time of Vietnam.
So you stayed kind of locally around this area, but you were traveling.
Yeah, I didn't go.
He was in Washington.
That was lucky then.
What? That I didn't go?
Well, you didn't have to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Because most people that were being drafted were...
Most normal people would have been thrilled. But I grew up in Gentilly, and I was a little different, see? because I watched guys get picked up in a cattle truck on Eastern Street in Mirabeau that were all leaving for Korea. Yeah. And as I grew up, my grandpa, my dad would take me on the corner to the bar room with him, and I'd play little games and put money in the jukebox. But all those guys in there was a VFW Bauer Post, VFW Post in Gentilly. He had a hall they'd rent like in the movie The Deer Hunter. Then in the front they had the bar. Well, all the guys that drank in the bar were all veterans.
Right. VFW's Veterans Forum.
World War II veterans that I really could see. And then Korea, right? And then, of course, when Vietnam comes, then you're old enough, you ain't watching no more, you start doing things, right?
And how old were you when Uncle Hart left for Korea? You were little.
Oh, I was little.
Didn't you walk him to the corner?
No, they said that when Hartley left off the porch, he had to go 6 houses down to the corner, Mirabeau and Eastern Street. And there's about another 5 or 6 guys with him, right? That's where they're picking him up to take him.
This is for the Korean War.
And he said that, my uncle was Hartley Timothy Boyd, B-O-Y-D. He was an electrician, brawny little guy, and he'd say, hard, tough, and bad. HTB, I'm hard, tough, and bad. And he went to Korea and all that. And he said he never cried in his life. He's been one of macho. I don't cry. Girls cry. I don't cry, right? And he said that day he left, walking up the sidewalk, going up there, I was little and I broke loose and I started chasing him. Kind of sad. That was kind of sad. Even now, when I think about that, that's very sad. He said I was hollering, don't go, take me with you, Uncle Hartley, take me with you. Oh. Yeah, which I don't know the name of the movie, but that happened in a movie somewhere,
So did he come back?
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he came back.
Was the point of the crying that made him cry on the corner?
No, not leaving, but looking back and seeing me,
Right. That caused him to cry.
It caused him to cry, yeah.
Which he admitted to later in life.
He admitted, yeah, when he got old and he wasn't so macho then, right? Yeah.
And that's something.
Crazy story.
That is. And it's so sad. God.
But everybody in my neighborhood went, over
and
there.
It's crazy that they would get picked up at these neighborhood corners. Like, hey, the cattle
that's
truck
where
or whatever
was.
you called it.
Well, like Korean veterans in New Orleans didn't get inducted into 423 Canal Street. Back in that day, they got inducted into the Municipal Auditorium in New Orleans on Rampart. Where in the old days, that's where the Shriners had the circus and the boxing. And
right.
I went to a concert there when I was young.
Yeah. That's where all the Korean guys got inducted. My time, 423 Canal.
Wasn't there a scenario where, because like you were talking about the neighborhood and so many things just happened right there within that, whatever it might be,
right?
A square mile or whatever, right? And all the everybody grew up in different neighborhoods.
Right.
Okay. But wasn't there like a
plane crash?
Wasn't there like a plane crash or something?
You remember that too. We're thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, I feel like I wanted to hear that.
Do you remember talking about
And I don't mean that a
plane
plane crash is cool. That was, let me fix that. But just the fact that you remembered it so vividly, I guess is.
And so I was 8.
I'm so glad you remembered that, because that every time I hear that someone's from Gentilly, I want to ask them, like, do you remember the plane crash?
I was we were living on Eastern Street at the time when, there was a big house, right? And my daddy was in transition buying and selling. And the house he was buying, he was going to fix it all up inside and outside. So we were there on Eastern Street. And my daddy would work. He'd come home in the evening about 4:30, because where he worked, they got off at 4. I would tell my mama, oh, Daddy coming home. I was little. I was about 5 years old. And I had my big 3-wheeler iron bike, right? 2 wheels in the back and front. So I'd ride to the corner, go wait for Dad. And I'd ride. And when I seen him coming, he'd come. I'd turn the bike around. It's a big deal for a kid, right?
Right.
Well, just one day I go out there and I don't see my daddy. So I'm waiting on my bike on the corner. And I heard all of these, rumbling and confusion and all. And what happened is there was an Army cargo plane that I understand tried to land at Lakefront Airport, and he was low on fuel. And I guess it was possibly maybe the type of cargo they were carrying. They didn't want it landed there, and they were going to put him to another airport. I don't know. So as it made its circle from Lakefront Airport over Gentes, making a circle, as he did on Franklin and Mirabeau, and he's heading east. This big cargo plane, a C-1, like a C-130, coming in. Boom! And I saw that. I turned. I saw that mother humper coming down the road. I left the bike. I wasn't stupid. I left my bike and hauled back to the house.
Right.
And what there was a plane, and they had about 6 crew members on it. And it across the street from where I was, there was a grocery store. Doc and his sister lived upstairs, and they ran the grocery store during the day downstairs. But sometimes they'd take a nap, lock the door, 1 or 2 take the nap. Thank God that day they were both down in the grocery store, because that Camelback, if I remember right, here in the store, got knocked off. So anyway, that baby just hit, boom, and here comes my daddy. He's coming home. When my daddy saw that, I ain't bragging about my daddy, but he was another one that I wanted to be like in a way, with the, serving, being in the Army, this and that. Like, he was 4 years over there, and he was in Anzio. I mean, he was in a lot of different things. He was in the Navy, the gunboats and all. He was a gunner. Yeah. People can say what you want, but when you go through certain crises in life, and if you go through 2 or 3 of them, it does something to you, right? Makes you harder, makes you different.
Right.
Well, the neighbors were all out in the corner. They all, did you call the fire trucks? And somebody responds, yeah. You better call a bunch of ambulances. That's my old man. Well, the guy had a mechanic shop there, and they said that my daddy told him, give me 2 crowbars as quick as you can get them to me. Go get me 2 crowbars. And the guy did. And my daddy says, I got this from down the line, not my father, other people. So I know it's all true. Nobody could say anything. And he said, well, who's going with me? Let's go. Who's going with me? And you Willie, you crazy. That plane smoking and plane blowing. Not me. And with that, they said my daddy there was this tall black man, real nice, with the crowbars. And they went and they jumped in the canal. They did what they did, and they opened it up. And they said they pulled 6 guys out, 6.
Wow.
And 2 was living. Well, I mean, they were just bailing. But the other, I think they said 4 of the other ones were all killed there.
Oh.
That was a plane crash. Fast forward that in years, and you do historical aircraft searches and all, and you think with all the computers you got today, I queried that in many, many different respects, because with customs, we have access to a lot. We controlled air traffic and all, went back historical. That was never documented in the crashes in aircraft carriers, never documented. So fast forward that, and I'm leaving my camp in Delacroix Island, and I stop all the time in the coffee shack, and I'm with my old Uncle Mitch, and we drinking coffee. And this old guy walks in, and he's got a blue shirt on, dark, like a fire department. And I think he did have, they looked like fire department, but it was I didn't see fire marshal. He was a fire marshal. He just inspected and all, right? When he walked in, I'd see him, I'd say hi sometimes. And this day I said, hey, you kind of old, dude. I said, you're not still a fireman. No, I'm a fire marshal, see? I said, oh, okay. So we sitting down, and I don't know what happened. My antenna went up, like, why would you even think about this, right? And I asked him, I said, where'd you work at? He says, I worked my whole life at the station on Elysian and Gentilly by the Fox show. That's where everybody used to go in his station to take your driver's test, right? And I said, wow, man. I said, you ever heard of a plane crash? in Gentilly, a military plane crash? Just like that, and talking. He said, yeah. He says, we were the ones, they got the call, and we rolled on it. I met him years later in the coffee shop.
That's bizarre.
Like 50-something years later.
Like that is bizarre in Delacroix.
It's weird. It's like
so out of the way.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like what people are saying nowadays, today is actually tomorrow.
We live in a simulation.
And then tomorrow is going to become like yesterday. It's like all weird, man. To think, I mean, New Orleans is a big place.
Yeah.
And
it's such a random thing, right? Like
and
that
he said,
military plane crash.
I said, well, why didn't they let him land at Lakefront? He says, well, all I can say is they talked about the fuel to the public, but it was like no one was really pressing anybody in them days. You had social media and all of that. Like, okay, so why did they not let him land if they knew he was low on fuel? To the public, well, maybe they trying to find another strip for him and get him cleared to land. No, that's not the point. The point is, why didn't they let him land in the first place? I said, that's my question. Nothing else.
Right.
I ain't worried about gas and all of that. He was run away making a circle. He didn't make it. He ditched it. Men died. Why? I said, I don't grasp that. So, rumors after that, you know how rumors are. You don't know if they're right. Could be wrong. Or it could be right or wrong. But they said that he may have had some cargo that they didn't want in. Maybe for argument, I'm making this up, argument's sake. They may have been maybe wanting to send him, say, to Belle Chase, military. Belle Chase, they got landing strips back there.
Right.
But none of that ever did come out.
It's crazy.
And I didn't get a PTSD check on that one. I didn't have PTSD. I don't think.
That's crazy.
Isn't that something?
I mean, it is. It is.
You want to hear
It's
it, and
the Gentilly story I will always remember is the plane crash
That no one knows about.
that no one knows about.
Now,
Unless you live
kicking
in.
into that, back then you never had air conditioning, right? All your windows in your house was open. It was hot. Everybody sat on their porches. Everybody sat on their porches in the evening, right? And I'll never forget this. A couple of weeks after that plane crash, I'm little. Remember that?
Right.
Other boys in the neighborhood at that time, they were maybe, say, 11, 12, 13, gathered, and they walking and joking and chewing bubble gum, coming up Easton Street. And I'll never forget them on the porch. And they all knew the adults on my porch. Everybody knew each other. And one of the guys said, whatever my name was back then, I don't remember. But they called me, meaning, come see what we got. And I'm on the porch with my family. And of course, little, yeah, man, look at, I mean, that's like your idols, right? And the guy had a string. He had a string.
Don't even tell me.
Huh?
Keep going.
He had a string. And he either had an ear on it or he had a finger.
No.
Either an ear or a finger.
Stop.
One or the other. And he had it on a string. And I'll never forget. At first, I was like, wow. They said, I don't know. They said, yeah, you were like, wow, man, look at that. That's fantastic. Could I see it? And then my mom, get your behind back on the porch, right? But yeah. That's a little extra ice into that story.
Goodness gracious.
Now, you sure they were chewing bubble gum and not tar?
Well, you're asking a question there. Back in that day, if you had a nickel, you had a lot of money. You could go get anything from the grocery store, a nickel, right? You had a lot of money. What would you say?
I said, you sure it was bubble gum and not tar?
Yeah, but in the heat of the summer, when all the kids out from school, everybody played.
Right.
There was a lot. You played tackle football. If you was in the street, you might be playing stickball or whatever.
Right.
Bop, bop, bop. And when you was out there, nobody had, in that neighborhood, nobody had any money, right? So we take a stick, in between the street. They would have black tar in there.
Yeah,
And we'd always, put the stick in and grab us a piece like that. But You chew on that all day long, a couple of hours, you know.
Maybe that's the key to health. All these 70
Or the cancer epidemic. It's one or the other.
Oh, I don't know. Did you chew it? See, look, my
Still
dad
chewing it.
probably chewed it too.
The cigarettes back then, and I know if some old timers are looking at it, these guys making, I don't know what they were, 2 for a nickel or 3 for a nickel, and it was kind of like in a pack. And you pull a nickel, oh man, to a kid, you know, you had to take that out of grandma's cup in the cupboard. You know, sometimes if you need, you go by, maybe 7, 8 years old on the People's Avenue Canal in the tunnel. Man, we 7, 8 years old. We're smoking cigarettes.
I think
Well,
it's
we
time
never-
for Wells to come spend a couple of days with Willie.
Well, when we never
Smoking
had a
cigarettes,
nickel,
chewing tar.
And chewing tar.
chewing tar, but it gets better. You had a nickel. You couldn't go to Me-J's over there because
Right.
Doc didn't sell cigarettes, but Me-J's grocery on Drew did. Well, my daddy wants to. And they give you a match and all with it. It would go with it, right? You go smoke that. But when we never had that, one kid had a corn pipe, right?
A corn
The old
pipe.
time corn pipe, a smoking pipe
Oh yeah.
made out of like a corn husk or whatever, right?
God,
Like Huck
you
Finn.
don't see him
Mhm.
that much.
And he
but
said-
yeah.
And I don't know, you know, you got to figure it out. Take the coffee beans, nobody misses them. And on the canals, on the side cement walls, you stamp it down and break it up. And you put it in the corn pipe with your kitchen match,
Smoke the.
smoking it and
beans.
passing around, smoking coffee beans, you know? I mean,
And you know, you go, why would kids be doing that? And it's because they saw all the older guys,
Older guys
doing it, right?
Yeah.
which leads us to the kind of maybe transition into the next phase, which is, you know, you were answering the question about, well, why the military? Why were you said, well, I'm a little different. You know, when I didn't get to go to Vietnam, it affected me differently than probably most because I grew up around all these guys that were
Yeah.
World War II and Korea.
well,
And it's the same kind of thing. You grow up around people that were smoking pipes and smoking and chewing tobacco. And it's like, well, what do you want to do? Your kids want to do what you do.
you
What
know,
the parents are doing.
here I am being interviewed, Anna, with my son, right? And just about that, you know, kid copycat on what they see and all of that. Man, when they were kids, I had a pickup truck and I'll be home, Mary, at 5. I promise you. Okay, well, I'll go to Popeyes. She go to Popeyes, get maybe, you know, big 20, 30 ice chest with the beer in it
Mhm.
for me, Cokes for the kids. And every night, just almost every night, we go on Veterans Highway, but at Ballroom
Oh, for the parades.
for the parades.
Yeah, I thought you were saying we ate Popeye's chicken every night.
I
No,
was like,
no.
you had Popeyes.
Now you know why
Now
I
that
avoided.
explains
No.
a lot.
So we go to the parades like that, and, you know, where were all the kids? They were all in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
Think about that. Just think about that.
How about coming home from Mardi Gras Day on Chapatulas?
Chapatulas. When you've been,
Well, let's just say maybe the parents may have been drinking. Maybe.
yeah,
And all the
maybe.
kids are in the
They
back of
may
the
have
truck
some
on the
cocktail.
interstate with all the beads we caught, throwing the beads out of the truck.
No safety belts.
Not one year, year
Well-
after year after year.
Well, I was gonna say I remember when my dad had a pickup truck. Like we would sit in the back of the truck, but you don't see that nowadays. I mean, and honestly, I think you don't see it now because kids are like, I'm not sitting out there. It's too hot.
Then people don't even put their dogs in the back of the
it's
truck.
too hot.
I know.
You know.
So there was a lot of, see all the differences as you talk?
Yeah, it is.
And that's
some
things that
things
you
are.
don't
I mean,
talk
some things
about.
are great, but then some things are sad. You know, it's just like no, not in this neighborhood because we're in the forest. But I love it out here. But kids playing outside. I
Right.
mean, in my neighborhood, you don't really see kids playing outside. You did during COVID, which was kind of like one of those COVID things that you're like, that was one nice thing about COVID, right? Is to see people having to go outside and the kids playing outside and riding their bikes and people taking more walks.
Nah,
Well, you know, leaving your kids outside to play is good. And it does appear to be a thing in the past, but there are occasions when your kids are outside playing and maybe they get into something mischievous.
Your kids were bad.
no. They did little boy things, but they would never, what you call, they would never,
Unintentional.
yeah, not bad, not planned.
That you know.
A match might have fell from their hand and caught a lot on fire.
Is that a true story?
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
Was it you or Timmy?
Well,
Or both of y'all?
who knows, man?
An entire lot on fire.
I would know. Thank God it didn't get that big. But,
Two. Well, I mean, and the guy had an RV on it too.
And
a
it
lot of
burned the
propane,
RV?
didn't he?
Mhm.
It burned the RV?
No,
No.
Oh,
no,
okay, okay,
but it
okay,
was
okay.
close.
It could have. you know.
Wow, I was gonna say, man, you really do have good stories. A plane crash and a burn.
But to show you another change in shifting gears in your life that you're living, when I came up, we played outside always, morning till night. And you drank out the garden hose at his house or my house. You didn't run in and out of, you didn't go in and out of all your buddies' houses. That didn't happen, number one. Number two, it wasn't really common. It was just starting to happen. The sleepover stuff. I'm asleep at Joe's house. It kind of in his time. It kind of started happening, right? And then you got to know their friends, and if you want Chris, they can stay over. But in my time, that was totally uncommon. Really.
I mean, for me growing up, my parents didn't allow us to sleep out. People can sleep at our house, but we weren't allowed to sleep out.
I didn't start sleeping out at other people's houses. So I was probably in 7th, 8th grade.
You see, with him as my oldest son, Chris, his friends clung, I found, to my house, me and Mary, you know.
I mean, I get why.
Yeah, they had a lot of fun there, but never had a fight, never had a misagreement, never party ever got crashed by a bunch of garbage bags. Good kid. He was good. He was good from the time he was born. Didn't have to worry about him, right? So his gang was always there. We'd boil crawfish or, if it's holidays, shoot firecrackers outside. Just a lot of stuff. Then I had the other one, which is 4 years?
5.
5 years difference. My other boy, his friends came around, and I got to know him. But his friends, he wasn't the one always telling me, hey, Dad, can Joe and Frank and Fred crash here tonight? Blah, 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 blah. He was always, hey, Mom, Dad, can I go sleep at...
Right.
You follow me?
Yeah. I mean, our house was the hub.
It was
for
the hub.
My friends. We had
For
my
his-
house, Jeff Steen's house.
Yeah.
In later years, you had Troncoso's house. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody, but it was the hub. And so we
That
were,
makes sense.
and
Yeah.
because it was centrally located, because we had a lot of friends that lived in Kenner. We had some lived in New Orleans. We had some, and so where I grew up was
Yeah.
kind of like dead center of all of that.
Right.
So it also made it really easy for everybody to kind of meet up. But yeah, so I mean, that was from the time I was in really grammar school with neighborhood friends, and then we get to high school, and then that expanded, obviously.
Right.
And then all the way through college. I mean, we had New Year's Eve parties every year, which were quite memorable. And Willie may have been overserved and dancing on the roof of his own car with a couple of the girls. That didn't sit well with my mom.
Oh.
We may have blown up a
She
street
was
sign.
kind of like, don't do that. Get down from the car. Kind of like, because you're going to fall and break your neck.
Yeah, she didn't need you to
Not
break
like,
your neck.
I can't believe you're dancing with that young girl. It wasn't that.
No.
Nothing like that.
It was probably because you're 6'6",
You did-
overserved, doing some kind of dance move that
But I'll never
probably looked awkward on the top of a car.
But the thing I'll
Top
never
of a
forget
car.
is my mama was there that New Year's Eve night. My mama was there at the house. And my mama wasn't a hellion. Very passive, quiet, never talked bad or ill about anyone. She was just perfect. Not because she's my mom, but she stayed out of all of the chit chat, the drama, And somebody must have said, you ought to go see your son now. Somebody probably pimped me out. She went outside and she saw me doing that. Me and that girl up there dancing.
Oh, boy.
She called me Bint, B-I-N-T. Actually, she called me Binty, but it was Bint, that was my little nickname. She told me, Bint, get your boom, get it off, get on that ground, and you had enough, damn it, to drink.
Very specific.
Go inside and make you some coffee. And Mama, never have I ever seen that telling
Caught
me
your attention, right? It
Never.
caught your
So he was
attention.
probably at that time, probably about 42, 43 years
Yeah, I
old.
was a young fella.
Isn't that crazy?
I think that's older than.
Is that funny? And I was probably, that was probably my senior or freshman year in
Mhm.
college. But yeah, those parties were epic. And what I thought you were going to, when she asked you, what are you most proud of? And I'm not surprised by your answer. But one of the things you'd mentioned to me recently was when we had a little gathering for your 75th. So it's almost 2 years ago now,
75, huh?
right? And we did it at the house. And so when you turned 60,
Yeah, we did.
and then when you
That was
turned
a big one.
70 and then 75, me and Timmy did like guys only. And we invited some of our friends and some of his friends
Yeah.
and kind of started to do these like birthday parties, right? And one was a surprise. The first one at 60 was at the IP in Biloxi. We all went down for the day, hung out by the pool. And that was mostly my friends and Timmy's friends.
Right.
And the 70th was a surprise. And it was mostly my friends and Timmy's friends. And then the 75th, we were able to invite some of his friends. But we did like little kind of short little speeches and stuff like that. It was kind of fun. But after that, one of the things you told me was you said, I look back and he's like, I listened to all these stories everybody has in it, and I reflect and I'm like, I never understood that I was having that level of impact on all of these kids, like that are now adults with their own children. He's like, so number one, it's kind of weird to see that, but number two, to hear them tell the stories of how I positively impacted them, both with
Right.
funny stories, right? But also with just sitting in the backyard with Willie, who would let him smoke a cigarette, and sit there and talk life and share stories. And they would start confiding
I
in
had
him.
a keg machine and big patio. Not like that. That's like entertaining. That's very, very nice. Okay. But what I had in my time
That is in your house.
was very, very nice too. I had a big slab,
Uh-huh.
heavy cover, all stainless steel zincs, and in between them babies, half a barrel in there, ice cold with the glasses, and sitting back there. Hey, Mr. Willie, you mind? No, kid, knock yourself out.
And
they
some literally took that literal.
They knock
Then
themselves out.
you'd always have the one to say, oh, these mugs the mug is frozen. Man, this is good. You got a picture though, so I don't have to keep on back and forth. No keys though. Mary would say, she'd go out to see him. You, and you. Nah, I don't mind. She knew their parents too.
Right.
Give me the keys. And she'd take their keys.
So they had to party
You're
there
gonna
and stay
wanna-
there.
Create a mess and leave, then I'm going to call you daddy.
Mhm.
I'm not going to handle that. But once you start drinking here, she didn't want, that's dangerous.
It is.
And you see, you young ones now raising kids and all of that, even if I was, say, now young with you, I wouldn't, shame to say it, I wouldn't be the liberal guy that I was in my day.
Yeah.
Well, the world's
Right.
I mean, you have to adapt.
You know
with the
why?
times.
Only for one thing.
Why?
One reason.
What?
All the phones.
Yeah.
Meaning, it isn't that you're doing anything wrong, but with quick flicks, it can.
It could be.
So, well, and it also looks worse than what it is. a lot of
Right.
It
times,
looks
too.
worse and this and that. Simply, somebody took a picture of you and you're 17 and it's maybe 16
Yeah.
and
I
you
mean,
with him. Your mama don't know you smoke. And then now, whoop, you're sitting out on the patio and you're smoking. Get my drift?
Yeah.
Or
I do.
may see you dancing in that video
Mhm.
and you might have that cocktail in your hand. Oh, that's nice. What the hell's going on over at that house?
Mhm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Tom's have
Yeah.
changed. And I mean, and I get that.
You got to be careful nowadays.
That back in the day, I mean, people, when we were younger, and I say younger, teenagers, 16, 17, like we always would find ways to be able to drink,
Mhm.
right? And so when you had parents like you that were like, hey, your friends can come to my house and y'all can drink, but if anybody drove here, I need the keys. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
That was kind of like the responsible thing to do,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And it's funny because now when you said that, I was like, back then it was car keys. Now it's
Cell phone and car keys.
Yep.
And they're not going to give up their phones. I can tell you that now.
Well, it's very simple.
Yeah, then go party
Then
somewhere
guess who's
else.
not getting a beer?
Right. Go party somewhere else.
But no, we had some great. Our house was just was just an awesome place on so many levels. But as it related to my friends and their parents, they have so many stories about them coming over. It was always open house. I learned hospitality from my mom and my dad, but mostly from him. My mom was supportive in it,
Right.
but she wasn't really like, let's throw a party. But when he said, hey, we should do this, okay, she enjoyed it, right?
Right.
She
She
liked all the
participated,
prepare. She
right.
participated, but she really wasn't the driving factor on, hey, we should do this. And it really created lifelong memories for
Right.
so many of my friends that still till today talk about, and it
Whitney.
was a massive part, our house, the Couch house, my mom, my dad, and all of the stuff that was going on there,
Right.
whether it was as simple as playing cards on a Friday night and ordering pizzas, or it was the big New Year's Eve parties and literally everything in between. It was awesome. And I tried to do it with my girls. I don't know that it recreated it the way it was, right? I tried to be open, and their friends were always welcome and all that. But there was something special about whatever you and mom had in the aura around there for that period of about 10 years. And it's funny because Timmy's friends that were close, like the neighborhood kids and all, they feel the same way, right?
Right.
But if you got to his kind of out of the neighborhood kids, there was much less of that because they were always kind of bouncing around. It was 5 years younger. That was a different kind of mentality to it that time. And so they didn't really experience that kind of pixie dust that we had. I mean, there were times we lived by the interstate. So our senior year, I had a class all the way through the full day. A lot of the athletes had it was unstructured eighth period of the day or whatever. So they got out like an hour and a half earlier. And sometimes their second to last class might be something that they could cut out early on. Well, if they would see my dad's truck in the driveway, like all the ones going to Metairie and Kenner, they would literally just get off of the interstate and they would go. So there were days like on a Friday, I would get to the house.
And your friends were already there.
There's 4 cars. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And I get in the
awesome.
backyard and, he had gotten off early and there's 3 of my buddies sitting back there just learning life from Willie. And
That's awesome. Though.
yeah,
That
and it was really
is
awesome. Yeah. And so it shaped a lot of young men, I think mostly for good. I mean, I picked up a few bad traits along the way, but I think the scorecard, and I think even their parents who knew and look back would say that
Right.
the scorecard was definitely in a heavy positive.
That's awesome.
All right, but I want to ask you a question. I got 2 questions for you. So when you look back at raising me and Timmy, what is, and I'm going to put myself out there because I don't know what you're going to say. What's maybe the funniest story that you have about me and then one about Timmy as raising us as kids? What's something that comes to mind?
Well, the one that'll come to mind with you too, it's funny
You could tell the
because
combo.
it was done, when it was done, it wasn't too funny. But the funniest thing was out at the camp with Eddie and Sharon on Jordan River and Eddie's boat.
Mhm.
He had just got it. It was a real nice boat, and it had the center console and all. And we just having fun. My brother-in-law is driving the boat, and I'm sitting on the left side of him. And my youngest son, Timmy, says to his Uncle Eddie, "Hey, Uncle Eddie, yeah, what would happen? You remember this?
He's probably
What-
like 7.
What would happen if somebody jumped out the boat right now while you're going this fast?" Right? Eddie didn't think anything of it. Like you, anyone listening, you would just think, hey, this is a young kid, right? He was young too. I can't remember about
Yeah.
what.
I mean, if
about
he was
maybe
7,
what?
they tend
He's
to
probably
ask
7
a
years
lot
old.
of questions.
7, 8 years old. Now,
A lot of questions.
he had a life jacket on,
Mhm.
right? We were smart enough, even in them days, to do that. And the next thing you know, and my brother-in-law's clipping, leaving a nice wake in the Jordan River. Next thing you know, oh man, I feel a boat coming down all this, and it happened so fast. Timmy didn't do anything off the side. I guess he said, maybe excuse me, to walk away, and Eddie, the boat's running nice. I guess my brother-in-law wouldn't think anything of that. Next thing you know, he did, off the thing, boom! He jumped in Garden River. And Paul, when he hit the water,
He probably bounced 3
it
times.
looked like you're skating a shell across the lake
Oh my
to
god.
see how far it could go. And then you're waiting for it to sink. And he went,
He was much smaller back then too, so he
Oh
bounced a
my
lot.
you tell people that, and I go, Yep, that's going to be my SEAL, hands down. He's going to be a SEAL, a Marine. He's going to be because he ain't playing with a full deck. I mean, but he was the chancy one, you know.
You know, the problem there is probably he didn't get the answer he wanted or an answer at all because he was a set. So he's like, I guess I'm going to find out myself.
I thought you were going to say the
When he
funniest
threw
story
the
I
cereal into
have
me?
by far, hands down, is the cereal story.
Oh man, that was just eating.
That's you.
No, it's Timmy again.
What were we eating dinner one night at the table?
No. So
I can't remember.
he worked normal business hours, so to speak, but then he would work overtime in different weird hours, early in the morning, late at night, and all that. So he came home. It was probably about 9:00 or so. It was probably a weekend because we're all still up sitting in the den, maybe 9:30. And Timmy's probably about 5 years old, I guess, probably about 5. And he got home and he said, I'm gonna go shower. My mom's like, are you hungry? You want anything? He's like, oh man, I'd love a bowl of cereal. So my dad's go-to cereal was Raisin Bran. So, you know, that little grainy ass cereal and milk. And we had just, I know the bowl is probably somewhere, you know, it's the wooden trough like bowl. It's a big bowl, right? And so that was a cereal bowl. So he says, oh man, I'd love a bowl of cereal. I'm gonna go take a quick shower. So my mom's like, all right. So he goes and showers, comes out. Mom's got the big bowl of cereal. He sits on the sofa and he says, hey y'all, what y'all doing? We give him a kiss, a hug. And we're just sitting there watching TV. And then literally unprovoked out of the clear blue, Timmy just gets up from the other sofa and walks over to my dad and flips the bowl of cereal.
I'm cereal.
He's holding it.
He goes,
think, and flips the whole bowl of cereal on him and takes off and runs to his room.
What?
So I mean, my memory of this is like I was in shock and
Oh,
awe,
my
and then I
gosh.
think I just started laughing because there's really, and that's actually what he did. He was in shock and awe.
yeah,
You
He
just started
laughed for a
laughing?
second, then he got mad.
pretty freaking hot at first for a split second, and then it was like, how do you even get mad at this? This is, you know, like, whoa, Mary, call that kid back in here. What? Yeah,
That is crazy. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I don't know.
that
It
was pretty funny.
Just out of the blue, like,
So do you have any with me? Because I have a couple.
Give
But
me
no,
a
let-
hint. Give me a hint.
Mine are more in my teenage years.
Just a hint.
How about when Steen was sleeping over? My mom was out of town or something with my nanny and the alarm was set.
Oh, yeah,
You want me to tell it?
yeah. You tell it. That's with Jeff Steen.
So my mom never went out of town, ever. But this is like, I think her and her sister, they went to Dallas to get like their ears stapled for some weight loss thing that was going on or some shit at the
Yeah.
time.
ew.
So my mom, probably the only day in my life that she was not at the house, other than when I was in late high school and they went on a trip, is not there. And I'm like 15 years old. So my buddy Jeff is spending the night. My dad gets off of work. He's hanging out with us. He's like, all right, I'm going to bed. So we had an alarm system. So my dad always set the alarm at night. And we also had a little poodle named Buffy. And Buffy was a barker. So anyway, so my dad's like, all right, boys, are y'all going out or anything? No, we're good. He's like, I'm going to lock it down. It's probably like 9:00. I'm going to hit the hay, puts the alarm on. So we had a garage attached to our house that we had kind of converted to a playroom. So there was no parking in it, but it still had a garage door in the front and it had a side door to the yard and then connected to the house. But like I said, it was a playroom. So anyway, so I guess the phone rings because we didn't have, maybe I had a beeper. I don't think I even had a beeper yet. But so like phone rings and it's a girl that I know. And she's like, hey, what are y'all doing? It's like a Friday or Saturday. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. She's like, hey, me and my friends, we're out. We want to come pass by. Can we come pass by? Well, it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, you can come by. So they're like, all right, give us like whatever, 20 minutes or whatever. We'll blow the horn. I said, don't blow it heavy because my dad's sleeping, but give us a little,
Right.
We'll be waiting. Okay. So here we go. 20 minutes later, we hear a little soft tap of the horn. So we are fired up because now these girls are there. And Jeff goes, how are we getting outside? And I said, what do you mean, how are we getting outside? He said, the alarm is on. I said, Jeff, the alarm is not on the side door to the garage. He said, yes, it is. I said, who lives here? I live here. It is not on the side door. He said, you might live here, but Willie Couch lives here too.
Yeah.
And Fort Knox is not going to have a door to the outside the house without an alarm on it. He says, I am telling you, you dumbass, that has an alarm on it. I said, Jeff, you're an idiot. Let's go. And I opened the side door and our alarm was loud. and the alarm blows. Boom. So Jeff looks at me like with these
Told you
eyes,
so.
like he couldn't even get out. Told you so, because he turned so fast to run back to the den and get on the sofa. So he runs and dives. I slam the door. The girls probably left because the alarm was loud. They probably take off. Door slams. Jeff runs, jumps on the sofa. I run. I jump on the sofa. Jeff pulls the blanket up over his head, acting like he's sleeping. My dad comes running out,
Yeah.
tighty whities, 357 in hand.
Oh no. Oh no.
What the F? What's going on? The only thing I could think to say was, I forgot the alarm was on and I went to let the dog out.
Right. Yeah.
And you said,
What I said, I can't.
the dog is with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Buffy was with me in the room.
That's right.
Meanwhile, I look over
Oops.
and Jeff, the blanket is bouncing at like 1,000 miles an
Jeff
hour.
freaking out.
Jeff is laughing so hard under the blanket, but trying to be quiet because he has no idea what's about to transpire. So we got a few F-bombs, a few little Emma F'ers going, you know, and then I don't know what the F you up to, but I'm going back to bed. You better not wake me up again. And I'm putting the alarm on again. So he put the alarm on and that was that.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
The gun,
now
though,
I
the
remember
gun,
that
the gun
now.
in hand though.
Tighty whitey, 6'6", coming
What
down the hall,
What's going on? here?
357 in hand.
That's a pretty funny,
pretty
crazy
funny.
story. And I forgot I was gonna let the dog out. Really?
I didn't know
'Cause
what
the
to
dog
think.
was in bed with
The
me.
dog was Buffy was with me.
Oops! I meant the other dog.
Because my dad really never liked staying by himself. I should have known that in addition to the alarm, the 357, 6 other guns in the bedroom, with my mom not being there, he probably still didn't feel fully safe. So he probably brought the dog. So I should have known that the dog was with my dad.
A poodle.
Yeah, the poodle.
But look, hey, that would have been my first.
Uh,
Blame it on the dog. Blame the
yeah.
dog. That is funny. I like that story.
But there was a lot of funny things that happened. I mean, between the two of them, you know, really, that's true. A lot of funny things.
It sounds like it. I mean, it sounds like with Timmy.
The
growing
teenage
up, he
years
was
were a little-
wild.
I just wish I would have wrote them all down, you know, because now, yeah, I can pick out a few things, but most I can't keep that. I can't keep up with. what
Yeah, you
went
say
on.
that, but I feel like I get a new story once a week. And I'm like,
Yeah,
why
I
have
know.
I never heard that story?
You need to
It
be like, wait,
surfaces.
stop, pause. Let's go in front of the camera and let's record 'em.
Yeah, let's get it down.
Because that's a lot of great stories. I mean, look, let's summarize what we talked about today. Plane crash,
Mm.
right? The plane crash. Then you meeting this guy who remembers the plane crash that no one else even knows about.
Years
And
later.
Delacroix, and then the story with Timmy. Both stories with Timmy, wild. And then that one with your poor friend who almost got shot.
With friend. Oh, you
uh,
mean?
Yeah, Jeff.
Just not,
He
'cause
was
you
safe.
You walked out with that gun.
He was under the blanket. He was
And
safe.
he was right. He was right the whole time.
The one that was
So-
more at risk was my buddy in high school or college decided he lived in Kenner
Oh,
and he decided that he probably couldn't make it all the way home. So he pulled his mom's minivan into our circle driveway and
Eric.
into the garden and almost blocked the front door and fell asleep in the car. And my dad wakes up at like 6 a.m. to go to work. It opens the door and there's my buddy in the car.
The car's right up to the door.
so
Right.
like okay, so he had been
He had been
drinking
out.
and driving,
Yeah.
and then was like, I can't make it up. I need to
Yeah, so he
I'm gonna
exited
go-
halfway home.
Couch's house
Mhm.
and park in the driveway.
Crazy
He
Eric.
missed the driveway.
He missed the driveway.
Well, he pulled in the driveway, but then he put the car like into the garden and
Oh
almost
my
pinning the door
gosh.
shut.
And you walk out and you're like, who the hell is this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he knew quickly. But you
Yeah.
know what's funny? His first move wasn't to continue to go to Eric. His first move is to turn around, come straight to my bedroom,
Yeah.
yelling at me,
Yeah. What the hell is this?
"Get up!" I'm like, "What?
You didn't
Your
know.
stupid friend is drunk in the driveway." And I'm like, "What? He's almost got the house blocked."
Oh my god.
So he drugged me out of bed to go wake this
your
person
friend, and
up.
you had nothing to do with
I had
it.
nothing to do with it.
Nothing
Well,
to
I was
do
with
with
him
it.
earlier.
Right.
Wow. You were with him earlier, but not when he pulled up
Didn't know.
back into
I
the
left.
driveway. Like that was
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that was, yeah. So I had to pay the price for that one too. The good thing is he knew that guy pretty well. Thank God it wasn't a new friend.
Yeah. 'Cause then it
Thank
would've
God
been a
he
stranger.
put that thing in park.
Right. And didn't come through the front of the house.
Yeah. A little bit, 12 more inches, he'd have been in my
Oh.
foyer.
The door almost couldn't open.
Oh,
yeah.
what
So
a
we
great
had
story.
quite quite a few.
That's awesome.
Well, as we bring this to a conclusion, do you have any other questions?
Not really. Not really. I mean, do we want to ask our general question? I don't think your dad ever got that question last time.
Oh,
What?
yeah. All right.
We're going to ask you a question that we typically ask all of our podcast guests. No right or wrong answers, just kind of like rapid fire, whatever comes to mind first, okay? If you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be and where would you go?
I could have dinner with anyone, huh?
Tonight,
Anyone.
any
Okay.
person.
Tonight?
Yeah. Historical, here, gone, anybody. Who would it be? Where would you go?
Body in this world or the past world, of course, you know what my answer is. I'd go to dinner tonight with the wife I lost, so
Yeah.
young.
Okay, well that's a great
As
answer.
far as any, movie stars and all of that, I don't know.
I mean, Janis Joplin?
Well, yeah, I didn't know we could take them out the ground and pull them up and
Yeah,
go out
this
to eat
is-
tonight. Yeah, Janice.
This is in a fantasy world. You can do dinner with anyone. So Miss
And
Mary
where would you go with mom?
Well, you're talking many years later. Go to 527
All right. Where would you go with Janis Joplin?
in the French Quarter somewhere in a little cigarette dark joint, What was the name of that place?
Oh, the Sing Sing. It's not there
No,
anymore.
It's not there. No. Of
Oh,
course
That was
not.
man.
my
Not doing
that was
it.
my favorite
That
spot.
was your spot. Let's
Corporate-
go to the Sing Sing.
Well, you're talking about a dark side of life.
I love that place.
I know
Yeah.
it is.
It's the Sing Sing. That's where I take Janice.
That was a cool place.
It was awesome.
You went there?
I told Fred we should have
Oh,
that place.
Chris would make us go there every time there was a client in town. Like, oh, we're gonna go to dinner in the Sing Sing, and I just back then the French Quarter wasn't.
You
Yeah,
took
but-
people in the
As
Sing
bad,
Sing?
Oh yeah, all the
Everybody. That was our quote unquote
That
corporate
was-
headquarters.
Yeah, that
man.
was like the late night.
Had
10
great
o'clock.
musicians.
Yes.
Awesome.
Off the street.
Yeah,
Mhm. And our clients
just- I
loved
mean,
it.
they
Our
were
clients
good.
Loved it.
yeah, everybody liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, Sing Sing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to the Sing Sing now.
It's
but
closed. You don't have a chance.
No, but I'm saying just anywhere in the French Quarter. Like if you do it, nope, take me to a place in Metairie.
Well, this is fun. I'm glad we had a chance to do it.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
And-
Willie.
With
Yeah.
Father's Day
Enjoyed
upon us, I know you know this, but I hit the parent lottery when I got you.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
And, so-
Happy Father's Day to
Yeah, well,
you
thank-
and to you.
That's a week from this Sunday.
Yeah.
It is a week from this Sunday, and this will.
Well, and we
probably
tried to get
be
this recorded because with your schedule as a ranch owner and
ranch owner. Yeah.
CrossFit,
There's
All
just
the
not
things you're
enough
doing.
hours in the day.
it's tough.
Nope,
Yeah.
no.
But we appreciate you carving some time out for us.
I got my license. We're going to start out in the backfield growing hay, I guess, next week. So
Yeah. Well, we'll get you on to talk about that.
I like that.
All right.
All right.
thank you.
Bye.